So what does that mean if I'm single and I'm looking to find love?
So if you're looking to find love, this is where we have to start with diagnosis before solutions, right? So the first question is, do you have trouble falling in love? Because a lot of people who are single are like, oh, like, I don't feel anything, right? I don't feel a connection. This is something that I've heard so much from our community, so much from patients anymore. I just don't feel a connection. They seem great on paper, but I just don't feel a connection. There's actually neuroscience behind how to form a connection too. But what the first question that I ask people is, okay, do you feel like you just can't feel an emotional connection to people? Then what you actually need to do is reduce your dopamine activation through things like cell phones. We see this also with pornography, where we know that pornography correlates with like unhappiness in relationships. And that's probably also like a dopaminergic effect as opposed to all the other things. There's a lot of stuff going on there. So play fewer video games, be on your phone less, and especially before you go on a date, you want to like give your dopamine a chance to recharge. So go on a walk for about 1 hour before you go on a date, and then your brain's capacity to engage in a date and fall in love and activate those feelings is going to be higher. Also, I'd avoid as much dopaminergic activity as you can before the date, before you see that person. And the more that you do that, the easier it will be for you to actually fall in love.
Am I right in thinking from what you said there that dopamine is required for us to initiate sex and want to have sex? Is that what you were saying?
Yes and no. So dopamine is not actually required to initiate sex. It's so fascinating. You can so I tried to figure this out. Like how does love work in the brain? It's like every circuit is involved. Every neurotransmitter is involved. So dopamine is what gives us the pleasure of orgasm. But initiating sex, also for men and women, is somewhat different. So women will say like, oh, foreplay is really important, right? And dudes are like, we don't need a whole lot of that. And so the question is why? So this is what's really interesting. So to develop an erection, you actually need activation of the parasympathetic nervous system, which is the part of our nervous system that involves rest and digest, which is why we have morning wood, right? So when dudes wake up in the morning, we have an erection. Why? We're not like horny in the morning. Well, I don't think so anyway, maybe, who knows? But like there's a physiology to it, right? Where when we're relaxed, we'll develop an erection because the development of an erection actually involves relaxation. And then the sexual act involves transition to the sympathetic nervous system. Now this is the fight and flight kind of response. So what we want to do is we want to be relaxed first, and then we start getting sweaty, our heart rate increases, blood pressure increases. And this is the other thing that a lot of dudes don't understand because our nervous system is a little bit different. So when it comes to women, they have the same thing going on where they need activation of the parasympathetic nervous system before they get activation of the sympathetic nervous system. And then as you activate the parasympathetic nervous system with something like a massage or making out or something like that, some playfulness, relaxation, people really need to feel safe. Then you can sort of graduate to the more explicit sympathetic nervous system sexual act.